and all of its messy bits and how it relates to different themes.
So, I was watching a movie the other day. Y'all remember that movie, Remember the Titans? It's been like, what, 15, 20 years since it was made.
Yeah.
So I noticed there were some things throughout the whole movie that kind of stood out to me on how they communicate within each other and the team and the coaches and all of that. One of those things I noticed was racism and how big of a part that it plays in how they communicate with each other. So one thing I saw was that there's racism plays on both parts, Black people and white people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's in the movie is that the white people in the movie are very hesitant towards change, and so are the Black people. So when they're talking to one another, they're very derogatory, they're very harsh and rude, and it makes the communication within each other so much harder than if they were to just set aside their racial issues and talk like you and I can talk.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though it was made so long ago, you can still see that today, you know, that people are so aggressive towards one another that you can't really communicate well.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the movie, there's all the racial tension and everything is really tearing them apart. Like they almost don't even become a football team because of it. The team is in turmoil, the school is in turmoil, the whole
community.
The whole community. It's really
It affects every aspect.
absolutely. So in the beginning, that's what tears them apart. But in the end, and towards the end of the movie, that is when they're able to set their differences aside and come together. And because they are so different, I feel like it brings them together. And they're able to become leaders and help each other.
Can we do that?
Be in here.
Yeah, you make a mirror. Actually,
What's
we don't
that?
have a lot of time to record. Can we leave? We're getting nervous.
Would you leave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sir.
We have a game plan though. It's a really good game plan.
How about?
Oh. We don't have that much time.
Well, I will leave. I had a suggestion.
Okay, I'm listening to your suggestion.
5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Lady Bits. Thanks for joining us for our discussion on communication and how messy it can be. So the forming of this team definitely created a bunch of storming, I would say, just like racism would. The coaches didn't really get along, which made the team not really get along as well. So they kind of need to lead by example. The attitude of the coaches reflects how the team works together and their communication with each other, which in turn, you know,
Relates a lot to like today and kind of like how everyone needs kind of a leader in their life
in
Yeah,
order to
set
create that
the
teamwork.
Yeah, if you have a positive leader, then you're gonna have a positive outcome. If you have negative leaders who don't know how to lead and their outlook on life is just negative and they don't get it, it's not gonna be a good outcome.
Yeah, they're not subject to change.
about the
Right.
example
Yeah.
that you're
So-
setting for those around.
Yeah, so at the beginning, even though the coaches weren't really getting along, they eventually, you know, learned that they need to get along in order for the team to get along. And so once the team got along, Julius and Gary stepped forward almost as the team leaders as well.
Of
So
each group.
right, so they saw the coaches get along well, so they knew that they had to step forward and get along as well. And one example of this that I saw in the movie was the left side, strong side. So what did you guys think about that scene?
Yes, I love that scene. That shows just them finally going through that period of, we gotta do this. We have to be a team, and I am the left side, you are the strong side. And they have to work together, and I think that was when they finally realized, okay, I can't do this without him, and he cannot do this without me.
And once they kind of connected on that same page, then like the whole team
team
was kind of
started
able to
connecting.
connect
Yeah,
on
they
that
got
same page.
Yes.
Easier for them.
Yeah, so without these great leaders, whether it be like the coaches or whether it be the team leaders, Gary and Julius, you know, without them leading by example, the teamwork couldn't begin to take place with these leaderships.
Yeah.
So,
I think that applies so much in our day-to-day lives as well. And that can be down to the teachers that we have, our bosses at work,
right.
our parents,
Anybody
anybody.
sport, if you play a sport.
Yeah, coaches,
We're influenced
Anybody-
by the ones above us.
exactly. Anybody who is there to teach us, to lead us, they have to have learned it somewhere
Yes.
and are able to relay that information back to us.
Right.
So like, when I used to do gymnastics, a lot of the girls, they didn't believe in our coaches because like, you know, some coaches, they put you down and some coaches don't believe in you. So they would tell themselves, okay, my coach is not gonna believe in me, then why should I believe in myself?
Right.
So it leads to a lot, yeah.
Yeah, without that leadership is
That
the
can also
teamwork.
like help to build your personality, you know, make you stronger, depending on the kind of person you are, I guess.
I think also just like from everything that we've said kind of like relates to the fact that communication doesn't always work and like the order we expect it to and whatnot, and how like to get to kind of the end result that we want, you know, you have to go through those like storming processes to kind of come together. Kind of like in the movie, how in the very beginning, you know, they try to like kind of like white bus, black bus, kind of like relating back to your racism note.
Yes.
And the coaches making them come off and you need to be defense, offense, because, you know, we're not putting up with like that crap, like we need to come together. And by, you know, the end of the movie, between like the leadership kind of like putting them to come together as a team, you know, they get on the field and are able to like actually perform. So,
Yeah.
Because in the end, they're all there to play football. That's all that
yeah.
matters. You know, like diversity, like that's not, it's football. That's all it is, it's football. So get your shit together because you're here to play football.
Yeah, and there's no playing football with each other if you're being aggressive towards one another, like the racism cause, or if you don't have good leaders, or without that, you don't have teamwork, and you know you can't play a good game of football.
Yeah, because you need to be able to depend on your teammates and to know they're going to be there for you and they're going to block that person for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's not only like them coming together as a team, but also kind of like building respect for each other and kind of like having to trust each other so that they can perform as a team and like eventually kind of create relationships in their teammates.
Yeah. They actually end up making really good friendships,
Yeah.
long-lasting,
Yes.
meaningful friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, we see in the movie, it's like 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
And they're still in touch, they're still friends.
Not to start because I didn't know. I was about to start.
What I like doing like
Okay, so I think the plan is you edit as far as you can with what you got, and then how early can y'all be here?
Oh, I'm already when. Of the movie?
I would only say no just because he doesn't want us to make it so much about the movie, but more like
But we just did.
communicate.
Welcome back to the Lady Bits. Thanks for joining us for our discussion on communication and how messy it can be.
Well, I think communication is needed to build and trust a person, because without that trust and the bonding that they have together, it's not gonna have a good friendship. The friendship's not gonna.
You kind of have to like
Last.
build that foundation to
Yeah.
get to actually establishing relationships with each other.
Yes. So like Gary and Julius, when the scene that when he got hurt, and Julius was like, at first he was just like, we're done. Like, I don't know what we can do. But then the coach was like, no, we're playing football. This is about football and all that stuff. I feel like that made them a lot closer.
Yep.
At the end, like it made them extra close because he was just like, that's my brother and I need him in order to play this football game, and we're about to go to state. What are we supposed to do? So I just felt like that helped them.
Important to kind of like bond over their mutual like love and respect for like the game of football, which is like important in any type of friendship to kind of have mutual
Yeah.
interests. That way, like
Something in
you're
common.
constantly able to communicate and talk and kind of like
Yeah.
grow through like the same things that y'all like.
Yeah, even today, you build friendships on something you like. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
you see somebody and they like the same thing you do, and there's a friendship that forms. So,
Yeah.
it was
It's like-
kind of just like Gary and Julius.
Yeah, it's never like smooth sailing. Like
Yeah.
it's always kind of gonna be that storming and like the bumps, but like that's kind
Yeah.
of
That
like
creates
the
that
foundation to friendship.
Think about all of us.
Yeah.
How different we all are.
Very
Yeah.
different.
And
But we bonded over this
Lady bits.
communication and
over our lady bits.
it creates friendship.
Yes, lady bits.
Okay.
So Cheryl and Nikki, when they saw that the community and that their parents and their family started forming a bond, they started to form a bond and they wanted to hang out with each other a lot, and
Yeah.
their family just grew together when they all became okay with each other. And
Yeah.
speaking and stuff.
And they, in the beginning,
They hated each other.
yeah, one was very sporty and
And the other
tomboy,
one-
and the other one wanted to play with
Barbie
Barbie
dolls.
dolls. And they were like, no.
She's
Yeah.
like, I'm a football player.
They
Yeah.
even like regarded how each other dress. Like, why do you
Yeah.
dress like
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
What are you wearing?
And then at the
And
end,
it's just
they
like, you look
just
weird.
they loved each other a lot.
It just comes back in with finding those common interests, and it just brings people together. No matter how different you may be, it's your interests
Yeah.
that.
And for them, the teamwork came from the love of the game, so.
Like this is a movie and then like explaining about the movie. So I don't want to do that.
2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits.
Welcome back to the Lady Bits. Thanks for joining us for our discussion on communication and how messy it can be.
So I know we talked about how them coming together as a team, there was a lot of opposing factors with the community and the racial guidelines going on in that time era. And you just see throughout the progression of the movie how they overcome all these obstacles that are being thrown at them. And in the end, like at the end of the movie, you see how they develop this strong bond, and we said it was, their common interests, and the most important one was football. So we see throughout the movie them, they form these bonds, yet through every scene it's still storming, and it's all the way up until the end it's storming.
Right.
And we see Bertier get in that car accident, and that just completely, in my opinion, changes the game. It changes the whole perspective, because it's not, whites against blacks anymore, or we're better than you, I'm better than you. It's, one of our teammates, our captain, is paralyzed.
Right. They
And-
bonded together.
Yeah, like all of that goes away, and it's just, you're left with what really matters.
Yeah, they almost bonded instantly, even more so over just the complete devastation
Yeah.
of the accident and the turmoil that it caused, and them possibly thinking that they were not going to go on to the championship.
Especially when that was their captain too, because
Yeah.
everybody depends on their captain.
Yeah. So I think in that scene, we really see them go from storming to performing. And they learn that, what's really important to them. And that's Bertier.
Yeah, the love for each other, and which ultimately came from the love of the game.
And it really showed kind of that they did establish like friendships with each other because like at the end of the day, they care.
Yeah. And then, they win the championship in honor for Bertier.
I was thinking with all these themes that we have, like we all thought of, it all kind of comes back to one thing in communication, because they all like evolve around communication, that it's messy. So even though, they're trying to form this team and come together and do this thing, even though they're trying to and the coaches are trying to, it's still going to be messy and not what they hoped it was going to be like in the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Throughout, I think, anyone's life, you have messy communication.
Yeah.
Whether it's just miscommunication with your spouse, you know, your friends,
Yeah.
your parents. When I'm sitting there and people think I'm angry or, you know, because my body language or something like
They're
that.
just like having RBF.
Yes. I'm not mad or anything. I'm just like, tired.
Yeah.
And maybe that exudes, you know, maybe I'm not a nice person.
Yeah.
So I think each and every one of us has to consciously think about our actions and how they may be portrayed to others. Even though we're not meaning it to be rude,
Right.
we're not meaning to come off negative or anything like that. We have to remember to consciously think about how our words, our actions, our body language may affect other people.
Well, it goes down to how communication is verbal, but also non-verbal.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just how people perceive us.
everybody can relate to the movie as well, no matter who you are, just because everybody communicates and everybody, you know, there's no perfect way to communicate. It's always going to be different or messy. So.
For joining us today on the Lady Bits. Come back tomorrow for our discussion on